Hey, what's up, guys? This is MugenLord here, and I just want to talk about Super Mario RPG. I just completed the game about a day or two ago, and I just want to give you my overall thoughts and opinions on such a gem of a title or a series. And it's finally here in 2023, something I just never expected. So the question is, does it live up to the hype? Does it meet modern sensibilities when it comes to gaming in 2023? So before we dive into this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. Super Mario RPG is a game that takes me way back into the 90s, man. This is one of my favorite role-playing games, especially on the SNES. And you don't understand how monumental this is that we're getting a remake of Super Mario RPG, because this really signifies a couple of things here that I want to discuss after I give you my thoughts and opinions on this game. But one of the most important things is the fact is that this game had represented the relationship that Nintendo and Squaresoft, or Square Enix today, had with one another. This was a game that they both collaborated together. They both put their talent and their skills together to create such a magnificent title back in the day. And when it comes to Super Mario, and when it comes to Mario as a character and the IP in general, man, Nintendo found ways to make Mario go off into different genres, and it works. Titles in like sports, puzzle games, things that you didn't think that Mario will work in, it just worked. It just shows the creativity that Nintendo has. And then you take Squaresoft or Square Enix, they create magnificent RPGs, especially during the golden era of the SNES, such as Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, the Secret of Mana series. And you take both of these companies together and to make a Mario series that has some Final Fantasy or some role-playing elements that's influencing it. That is just one hell of a thing that you just couldn't imagine unless you actually was there at that time and had your hand on the controller to play it. So the fact is that they was able to release such a game, and it pretty much wowed everybody. And this also signified as the last game to end the Super NES, life cycle before they step into the Nintendo 64. But we'll get deep into that once we're done everything. So, as years go by, I was always wondering, will we ever get a sequel to this? And that had a lot to do with the relationship with Nintendo and also Squaresoft or Square Enix themselves, because of, I guess you could say, the bruised relationship they have for the fact that Nintendo decided to not go with a CD base for the Nintendo 64, but continue to go with cartridge. So they pretty much ignored Square Enix's or Squaresoft's request to say, hey, we want to continue to make great RPGs, great Final Fantasy games, just make it CD based. And Nintendo wouldn't do that. And when that happened, Square pretty much went to Sony, and that's why we didn't ever get a Final Fantasy game on a Nintendo console in a very long time, more specifically Final Fantasy VII. Sony ended up benefiting that. They end up giving the keys to Sony. It's a Sony's victory for them to dominate the gaming industry for the next couple of generations, So, now that we had Super Mario RPG, and we had many RPGs after Super Mario RPG, which is the Paper Mario series, which only like Mario RPG 64 and the Thousand Year Door, they were the only great ones after that. But more specifically, we got a remake of Super Mario RPG, something that I didn't think was going to happen because of the relationship that soiled over time. And I didn't think this would be something that they would come back together to be able to put together. And look, right now, look where we at. Super Mario RPG. You see my reaction in the reaction videos. No! Let's go! When it came to this game, because it was off my radar. It was a pipe dream that I didn't think was ever going to become a reality, and yet it did. So this speaks volumes. This speaks a lot of words of what we can expect moving forward, especially with Super Mario RPG as a potential franchise or series moving forward. But it also shows the relationship and the bond that Nintendo and Square Enix has once again. I guess you could safely say they finally mended things really, really strong with this. So, as far as the remake is concerned, what do I think about this? Man, as a fan of Super Mario RPG, this game is a one-to-one remake. We always talk about remakes and how Final Fantasy VII Remake had muddled what a remake is and what a remaster is, but this is definitely a remake because this game is actually built from the ground up. With a new graphics engine, new graphics and everything like that, but it still follows the same story. and that if you was the original fan of it, then you would know that yes, everything is beat for beat. But they did add some quality of life changes to meet modern standards. But before we get into that, what is the story for those of you who are new to Super Mario RPG or contemplating whether or not you should give it a try? Well, the story is like your typical Mario story, but with a twist. You know, Bowser comes in and kidnaps the princess, and then you have to be Mario and then go down to the castle to Bowser's Keep to go save Princess Peach. Now the thing about this is, what I find quite interesting is it still keep those Mario conventions. What I mean is that when you play a Mario game, the game doesn't hold your hand. There's no cinematics or anything. You got the controller and you just figure out how to play. And when you step into this game, the moment you enter Bowser's Keep, they don't tell you anything. You just get in and start playing. You just start walking around, you get into an enemy encounter, and this is where the RPG elements from Square comes into place with Final Fantasy. Because when you see the enemies, you walk into the enemies, and when you encounter them, it takes you to another screen where you do battle. And yes, it's traditional turn-based, something that I've always enjoyed when it comes to my RPGs, and this is no different here with Super Mario RPG. You take turns from your enemy turn to your turn, but it has a twist where Nintendo added their twist to it. Now, to make it more involved and more interactive, this time around, when you make the attack, if you time the attack button just right, you get a new sequence. You take additional damage from your enemies. So this wasn't just, hey, I'll take my turn, enemy take my turn, but they wanted to make it more involved and more interactive, and that's what they've done here. And the thing that's fun about it is that depending on your equipment, your attacks is very different. And when your enemies attack you, you can also block your enemy attack by pressing the A button or the attack button at the right moment, so you won't take any damage or you take half damage. But we will move on with the story. So you go in, you fight Bowser as you usually would and save the princess. And as you successfully save the princess, all of a sudden, something happens. Something comes from, and it's this huge sword with a face on it, and it looked so weird. And what happens is, it comes down and it destroys the star, which is Star Road, and it shatters the star into 7 pieces. And this sword comes in and takes over Bowser Keeps, and actually kicks Bowser out of his own castle, and the princess gets separated from Mario. So now Mario was unsuccessful in saving the princess, but Bowser also gets kicked out of his own castle. So now, throughout the story, you're trying to find Princess Peach, which you find her much later into the game, but now you're on a journey, and this journey ends up involving other characters, and we finally get introduced to original characters made by Square, which we have Mallow. Mallow is a cloud, but he thinks he's a frog. You meet him on your journey. He's the first character you meet, which is a very cute character. My daughter seen the character for the first time and fell in love with Mallow. Think he's so cute. My sister loves the character as well. So he's a very likable character, and I can see a lot of merchandise coming out of this character now that the remake is out. But you go on this journey. He joins you because he gets into a situation of his own, and now it puts you on a journey with Mallow. And then eventually you meet a toy or a puppet named Gino, and Gino is essentially a toy that comes to life from one of the star spirits that's on a journey of collecting the 7 stars. So Gino joins you, and he has all these different shapeshifters he can do with his hands. He has like pellet guns. He can use rocket arms. He has all these different types of abilities that you can use with this character, and he became synonymous, a popular character that a lot of fans have grown to love. With this character, and many people vouch for him in Super Smash Bros., but he never got in Super Smash Bros., but that's a whole nother story. But then the shocker is, you finally get Bowser. This is the first game where Bowser is actually in your party. He's somewhat of a good guy, and what I like about this is when you have these RPG storytelling and elements in RPGs, and now you have Mario in it, it gave Bowser, it gave all the characters that we know and love that you normally play in a platformer, now we're giving these characters personality. And Bowser is a likable character. He actually has a soft side to him in everything. He cares about his minions, you know, and he also has a caring for Mario as well, and he has a lot of pride, and he won't admit a lot of things, but Bowser joins your party, and I also thought that was revolutionary. Mario and Bowser on the same team together, and he has some pretty cool attacks which we'll get into when we get into the gameplay. And then, of course, eventually Princess Peach joins your side as well. So not only did we get Mario and Bowser, we have Peach. 3 of the most popular Nintendo characters of all time in one team, plus 2 original characters. Now you're on this journey to collect the 7 stars, and as you go on this journey, you get to discover the magnificent world of Super Mario, and I think this is really, really good. And I won't go deeper into the story because there are some little elements in there and stuff. It's not too deep. Don't expect a deep story. But overall, when it comes to Super Mario RPG and its gameplay, the whole emphasis that they wanted to push with Super Mario RPG is the simple fact is they wanted Super Mario the RPG to be an introduction to RPGs. Now the thing is, Mario's for everybody. Is for everyone, from children to adults. So they know that when people see, or when kids pick up Mario RPG, they're going to see Mario on the box. So they know they're going to get a young audience, especially during its time. So they knew that, hey, we have to make this something simple, but something also intuitive and have a little bit of depth for those who are RPG veterans. And they pretty much accomplished this with this. And I also still want to stress this out. If you're looking for something like hard, like Final Fantasy, you won't find it in this game. This game is very RPG beginner, but there's some things that you can enjoy about this. I think the gameplay, even though it's turn-based, I always found it addictive because of the interaction, the timing of the attacks. Because in Super Mario RPG, you don't just have one type of attack type. In Mario RPG, there's like 3 different or 4 different classes of weapons, especially with Mario. Mario can fight with his fist. He has the glove. Then he has the shell. And he also has the hammer. So he has 3 different class types, but each have their own significant timing to it, which means they all don't play the same. You have to get the timing right and correct in order for you to be able to get the additional attacks and power when attacking your enemies. Same thing. What I found funny with Bowser, he has the Chomp Chomp chain that he can swing, and you time it, he throws it. If he has his basic claw attack, he used the claw. And then the funny thing is the Mario glove, where he takes Mario, he chug Mario at the enemies, which I thought was pretty cool. And that's like Bowser. That's very much on par for the course for Bowser. And then of course you have Princess Peach. She has the Toadstool slap, she has the umbrella, and yeah, I think that's the only 2 that she really has. She don't have anything else. And then Malo has the tambourines. Also he fights with his fist as well. And then Geno has the various different rocket punch, the pellet gun blaster, and I think that's all overall pretty cool, and they all have their unique timing. And the thing that you really have to master is when your enemies attack, because every enemy, and that's what makes the game so fresh, because you never really, in most RPGs you constantly keep running into the same enemies over and over again, but when it comes to this game, we get introduced to a lot of the various different Mario enemies, and then they also created some enemies that Square Enix had decided to throw in there. We get a Mario version of Bahamut. That's funny. We have Bahamut in there, but a Mario rendition of it, which I thought was pretty cool. So Square has sprinkled their little elements in there. So you always going to have a variety of different enemy types. And like I said before, it's a beginner type RPG. So battles are not technically hard. As long as you level grind, this thing can be easy. And the thing is, as far as the duration of the game, you can beat this game around like 12 hours. The game is not that long. But you do get your enjoyment and satisfactory because you find all of the Mario Easter eggs. And you can find some Square Enix Easter eggs like that's relation to Final Fantasy that's in there. And that's what makes it work, and how they're able to get those RPG elements with Mario elements. Because as you run around the map, you can hop around like a traditional Mario game. There's coin boxes that you have. And yes, there's also some platforms in there. Now, the platformers can be quite annoying because it's 3D, but it's not 3D, which means you can't turn your camera to be able to get the right timing. So you can find yourself falling off of ledges numerous of times, but it's all there. Even when you get the star power, you can run around and you can just essentially hit the enemies with the star, and you can level up. Now, when you level up in the game, you essentially can choose what stats and attributes that you can power up. Now, to max everybody's abilities, I think around like level 17, you pretty much got everybody's special ability. Because by the time you beat the game, you're going to be in your 20s. So like I said, it's that short, so you don't have to worry about, grinding too hard. But the game is very, very simple. And I think that's the only gripe that I have with the game, is the fact is that I don't mind the difficulty that they have, because they have a super easy, then they have the normal, which is still easy to me. But I think the only thing is they added modern conventions to it. Now, the modern conventions is not bad at all. I think the only issue with the modern conventions is what they added to the game, to the combat system, is because now if you perfect time your attack button, it hits all the enemies. which kind of make your special abilities that allow you to attack all your enemies, it kind of make it useless because you don't really need your magic abilities when you have perfect timing. You can attack all your enemies at times. So the utilizations of different type of attacks that you can experiment with kind of like cuts itself short when your normal attacks is more powerful than your magic attacks. They also added a guard gauge. The more and more you perfectly time it, you have the gauge in the corner. Once it hits 100%, they add this new special attack, special ability where you get this cinematic cutscene. Now, what I do like about this new addition to this is that when you go to the menu system, you get different type of stat buffs depending on what character and what order that you put your party in, which I think is pretty neat. Now, I think this will be more useful if the game had a much harder difficulty, is because a lot of these mechanics that they added, it really makes the game even easier, opposed of making it much, like, I guess you say, to suit the challenge that you meet, when there's really no challenge to it at all, when it's really that simple. But I do like the features that they added to it. There's also option where you can play the original music, because you have the orchestra music of all the original songs, and the orchestra music sounds pretty good. The only music I don't like is the battle theme. I don't like the battle theme of the remake, so I love the original, so I'll go to the original. And I wish there was more flexibility when it comes to the music options itself. I wish you was able to choose, do you want locations to have remake music, and then do you want just the battle to have remake music or not? Because I like the remake music when it comes to the different levels and stuff like that, but when it comes to the battle, I just didn't like it. So I had to always keep toggle from classic when I get into the playing field. I'll go back to the original or whatever like that. But overall, the music is really, really good. There's a ton of things to like here when it comes to the music, so I still have no complaints when all of that is all said and done. And then your world map, they changed the world map. What I mean by they changed it, each area in the Mario world had its own map to itself, but now it's all one seamless map, which I think is cool. And like I said, they added that Mario element to it, because every Mario game had an overworld, so they added that overworld, and then you go to it, takes you to a zone like an RPG. You go through these different zones and stuff like that. So I also think that's pretty cool. And there's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of side quests too, and like little hidden secret boss fights and areas that you can discover for yourself that you'll definitely enjoy. But the overall experience to Super Mario RPG is just something that was just magical to me, man. Like, it just took me back in that time. The graphics, the visuals, everything about this game it was just like a chef's kiss, man. Like, I just enjoyed every last bit of it. There's a lot here that you can find to enjoy. If you're a Mario fan, you'll definitely love the little nods and homage that it pays to Mario games and Final Fantasy games found in this title. And when it comes to this remake, I would say this, man, with the visuals they decided to go with, which I find like the remakes that they've been going with when it comes to the visuals, when you find in Link's Awakening, I thought that was a pretty cool. And I would love to see if they do an Earthbound in this sense as well, when it comes to if they decide to revisit Earthbound or remake Earthbound. I would love to see Earthbound in this visual aesthetics as well, because I just think it's really, really good. I think they did a real good job as far as like expressing or trying to make it mimic what we played back in the day. Some people have gripes that it loses a little charm for going this graphical, but what more can you do, you know? But overall, man, the overall package is really, really good. If you into Super Mario and you love Final Fantasy, or you just love RPGs in general with a combination of Final Fantasy and Mario, you definitely need to give this game a try. There's a lot to like here. If you have kids or you have a niece, nephew, or whatever like that, and you want them to get into RPGs, I think this is a pretty good RPG for them to try, to understand what an RPG is and how it works, how to equip your characters in the item shops, and or stat buffs and stat debuffs and enemy weaknesses and stuff. This is a good RPG. Besides the Destiny Connect, which I also recommend, you can check out their review as well. But these are good beginner RPGs to actually give a try. I think they're really, really good. But other than that, man, I enjoyed this game, and this overall just speaks a lot of volumes about this, because this was something that no one saw coming. No one saw this coming. No one didn't think this was going to be a remake. I forgot all about this. I just gave up on it, and this actually became a reality. So this also has me thinking something. Now, Super Mario RPG was a game that was released at the end of the Super Nintendo life cycle. So is this game a representation of maybe that this is definitely the end? This is like, maybe this is the last big title that we're getting for the Nintendo Switch before we move on to the next Nintendo console moving forward. And they also removed Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Star. Why did they do that? Is this any indication that we have Super Mario RPG? Is there any indication that we're going to get a potential Super Mario RPG 2? So they wanted to remove the Legend of the Seven Stars to get rid of that connotation of the past, and they want to just move on and just call their next RPG series Super Mario RPG, just with a number beside it, and just move forward with that. So that's just something to take under consideration and think about. And fans are giving this praise, and I know this game is going to do really well. So I know for a fact that Super Mario RPG is here to stay, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do in the near future, especially for the next Nintendo console. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I really enjoyed the game. It took me back to that 90s, man, when I was young during this time, and now I got a chance to relive this, and I actually sat down. My daughter actually played it with me, and she enjoyed every bit of it as well. So I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on Super Mario RPG Remake. Is this something that you wanted in a remake? Are you looking forward to see what Nintendo and Square has moving forward with the Super Mario RPG IP moving along? So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.